Hello everyone, hope you are doing well in your studies. Today we are going to discuss one of the most important subject in UPSC Mains, that is GS4 paper, which is popularly known as paper of ethics, integrity and aptitude. In this video we will try to learn three important terms, that is honesty, integrity and probity. These terms or these values are very important for the foundation of good governance. The inclusion of this paper, that is ethics paper, the only purpose to include this paper is that every civil servant has to face different kind of situation, different kind of societies. So he should be ethically correct, he should be man of integrity, or he or she should be the man of morality also. So inclusion of this paper is because this is paper is totally of cornerstone of ethics. Now the ethics word is itself a important word, so we will try to learn two different word, that is those are ethics and morality. In ethics, this is totally of professional life, and morality is completely of personal life. In ethics, you should be under the rules and regulation of an institution. That means you are an ethical person. And if you are following your own principle, own values, then you are a man of morality. Ethics is the word derived from the Greek word ethos, which means ritual or behaviors. So if you are following any rituals in an institute or organization, or you have a set of guidelines or principle, that means you are following your professional life or called ethical life. Even in morality you are different from ethics, and you are personally following the all those principles which you have on your own. Let's take an example to understand the ethics and morality. There is a person named A who is a doctor. He is in a hospital. There are two patients. One is 80-year old man, another is 20 years old man, and assume that both of them needs a cylinder to survive, oxygen cylinder to survive. Now the person is in dilemma that whom he should provide the cylinder. According to the rule, if a person who come first, he will get the treatment first, and assume that 80 years old man has come first. Now if he diagnose this person, if he gives the cylinder to this person, then he is ethically correct. It is the ethical norms of his hospital that the person who is coming first, the patient who is coming first, he will be treated first. So if he treating the 80-year-old man, that means he is ethical in nature. And if he hears his inner conscience that the 80-year-old man has already lived his life, and 20-year-old man who is about to live his life, and his whole life is about to start only, and his career is waiting for him, so he decided that let that oxygen cylinder provided to him so that he can survive. By hearing his inner conscience that he's already lived life, now 20 years old, let this man to live a longer life. So in that condition, if he give the cylinder to the 20-year-old man, then he will be the person of he will be person of morality. He is following the principle of morality. Here, the doctor is following the ethical profession, profession of ethics. because he knows that according to the guidelines of the hospital, he had to diagnose the person who has come the first. In that condition, he is following his ethics. Now, in that condition, he is hearing the voice of inner conscience and following the value of morality. Let's an example. As you all know that the person who is working in an institution or organization, he or she has to follow the ethical norms which is guidelined by the institute. Let's take another example that if a person who is working in an office and there is a printer in his office and he is taking the prints out for his own office works and using that printer only for taking all those documents and papers from that printout, that means he is using his office resources for his own work, that is office work. Then he follow his ethics. What if he takes the printout of another things like that is not related to the office? Then in that condition he is not following the ethics. But take a condition that what if that printout he is taking out from that office, that might be of poor students who is studying outside, and there is nothing cost for the office to of 50 or 100 printouts. So he thinks that let me take all the printouts from office only and give to that person who is needed. In that condition, that person will be the man of morality. I hope the example made you clear about what is the difference between ethics and morality. So, what we were discussing that how ethics paper is and the foundation of good governance, as it ensures the trust between the people, public, and ensure transparency in the system. Now, the core principles of this ethics paper is to honesty, integrity, and probity that are non-negotiable for public administration. And what is the ethical cornerstones for this? Ethics forms the indispensable foundation for effective governance. As you know that after becoming civil servant, you are a part of the governance, so you should be ethically correct to improve the democratic system of the your country, and you have to maintain the effective governance in the system. So, in the realm of public service, these values are not merely ideals but practical necessity that dictate the quality and effectiveness of governance. As I earlier told that the ethics paper is totally a practical paper. In the daily life, you after becoming a civil servant, you will face different people, different societies, different kind of situations. So it will be the totally of practical paper. Now let's understand the three terms honesty and integrity. In the very first word, that is honesty. Honesty is the value of truth telling. That means whatever the situation is, you have to do the right thing, you have to be transparent, you have to maintain the decorum of being honest, of truth telling, and transparent in both words and action. This fundamental virtue builds an unshakable trust between the citizen and the administration. The, the more you honest, the more you will gain the trust in citizens, amongst the citizens, that you are a good officer or you are a good civil servant. Let's take an example of value of honesty. What would be the best example other than the man named Lal Shastri, the then Prime Minister of India? Lal Bahadur Shastri, no one can deny the fact that he was the most honest person. In 1960s, when there was a war like situation going between India and China, he decided that he would announce that every citizen has to fast for a day to conserve or preserve the resources. But before announcing, he told his own family, ask his whole family to fast before the nation. It shows how a person can be the how a person can be the most honest, or how he follows the principle of honesty. Another example is U Sagyam, a civil servant who declared all his assets worth of 7,000 rupees before he was trying to fight for the corruption. That means he is showing the others that I will declare myself corrupt free person before fighting for the corruption. That shows his value of honesty. Remember, to be honest, you should be rock solid to follow these values. Next term is integrity. Integrity, the value of integrity is the unwavering consistency of thoughts, words, deeds, and duties, choosing the right path regardless of personal consequences. So, if a person who is known to be as man of integrity, he will not think about, he will do the things in the right way, and he will continue to do right way because there is a word called consistency. His values and his deeds will be in a consistent manner, and he will never think about the personal consequences, and he will be honest in his action and his deeds. Let's take an example to understand how honesty is different from integrity and how these two terms are related to each other. Listen example, there is a match going on between the two teams, and match is the final match, and only one run is needed to win, and the winner will be declared as the title holder or world champion. Now here the bowler thrown the ball, batsman hit the ball in the, now it's up in the sky. Bowler is also running to take the catch, batsman is also running to complete a run, and in midway both of them collide with each other and batsman fell down. Now the ball is in, although bowler could not catch the ball, but he has the ball in his hand. Now he is in dilemma that what should you do? Either if he throws the ball to the wicket, he will be run out, and uh, if his inner conscience says that let him complete the run because he fell down because of his collision, in that case, if he makes him run out, as the guidelines or rule says, if a batsman could not complete the run, he will be run out. And now here, if he makes him run out, then he will be honest because he is following the rules of the cricket. And if he hears the voice of his inner conscience and he thinks that no, let him complete the run because he deserves that run, in that case he will be the man of integrity because he heard his inner conscience regardless of the personal consequences. After the match he will be scolded by his teammates, and he will ask that why did you do so. He will say that, he definitely will say that I will follow the spirit of game, not the personal gain. So he followed the personal spirit of the game, so he is the man of integrity. Now in the integrity also, there are few examples like Satyendra Dubey. He exposed corruption in NHAI that was going on in the Golden Highway project. Regardless of the consequences, he wrote the letter to the Prime Minister's office that there is something going wrong in the system, and there is corruption going in the in the all those projects. So he decided to write a letter to PMO. What happens? He follows the, he heard his inner conscience regardless of the consequences, but in 2003 he was murdered for his what he did for that incident. That shows he is the symbol of the truth and he is a man of integrity because he followed his own principle, he followed his inner voice of inner conscience. That means he is the man of integrity. in the integrity terms, if you describe it in simpler terms, if no one is watching and you are watching yourself and you are judging yourself, then you will be considered as the man of integrity. Because remember, it is a hard rock solid quality or value which a person should have to be the man of integrity. Because it is not always easy to not to get to let have that personal gain and follow all those consequences. So integrity is much needed for the civil servant, because it will give not he will not only be remembered as the man of integrity, but he will be also seen as the ideal for some budding officers. Now the next word is probity. The word probity is quite similar to integrity, as it is also known as professional integrity. Means if a person who follows the value of integrity in his professional life, regardless of his personal life, whatever he is in his personal life, then he will be man of probity, because he is following the professional integrity. In that case, probity signifies adherence to the highest standards of public life, embodying uprightness, transparency, and accountability. It is the cornerstones for building unwavering public faith in governance. So, if a person who is known to be as man of probity, he will have the highest level of standards in his values. Probity can be described in two references. One is institutional references or organizational. In the UPSC syllabus, the probity word is written as probity in governance. That means probity in governance will be totally enshrined in that institutional references, not in the individual. But to understand the word probity, we will try to learn in this reference also the how individual is will be declared as a man of the probity. In institutional, taking example of CAG, we all know that the CA is the institutional of probity, because it has all the transparency in in its system. So and following the highest level of standards in its system. So CAG will be the institute of probity. In the same case, election commission also. And probity can also be described as the process of probity also, if the process is fair and crystal clear and transparency in nature. So if election commission, the role of election commission is to conduct the free and fair elections and conduct rolling all those electoral roll systems. So election commission's procedure also will be called as probity. In individual, if a person who is following the professional integrity, that will be known as individual probity. As I earlier told also, let's take an example to understand the individual probity. To understand the probity for in the individual reference, we'll try to learn with an example that a person A is honest in his professional life. That means no one can force him to indulge in any kind of unlawful activities or any kind of corruption. In that case, he will be honest because he is following the professional integrity. And but in personal life, he is a little bit dishonest. Putting a condition in this example will make it clear. Assume that there is a land distribution system is going in an institution, and there is a contractor who is trying to bribe him a handsome amount of money to him by saying that you give this land to us, we will pay you we will pay you higher. But he denies and saying that I will follow the my professional integrity, I will not indulge in this activity. In the same case, if there is a land dispute system is going in his family, and he is little bit dishonest in his personal life by saying by taking it example that if he cheats in his family by saying that there is something wrong in his land system, or he gets benefited of uh, that partition. So in his personal life he is dishonest, but in professional life he is highest he is following his highest value, that is honesty or professional integrity. That means he is the man of probity because he is following professional integrity. We will not look into his personal life. However, he is dishonest in personal life, but in professional life he is following all those value of honesty and integrity. Then he will be called as man of probity. Let's take an example of Ashok Khemka sir. He was transferred 51 times, but he maintained his probity against corruption, demonstrating unwavering commitment. Another example is T.N. Seshan sir. He implemented electoral reforms without the fear of the government or interruption of the government, and in Election Commission of India, and the line is very popular by given by the T.N. Seshan that I eat politician in my breakfast. So he is the man of integrity. In the same way, Election Commission of India is also an institute of probity, but in institutional reference, and T.N. Shashan is man of probity in individual reference. I hope it is clear now that how probity is classified into references, professional and institutional and individual references. How these three values are important for public administrations or pillar of progress, as it prevents misuse of power. If a civil servant who has that those values of honesty, integrity and probity, then it means it serves as a vital checks preventing the abuse of power and authority within public offices. These values also strengthens democracy by upholding ethical standards. They reinforce the fundamental values of democratic governance. Now that it has this value will always enhance the efficiency as its conducts directly leads to greater efficiency and effectiveness in public service delivery. And the most important part is it promotes citizen focus as it ensures governance remains centered on the needs and welfare of the citizens. All these value like honesty and integrity and probity will always be the pillar of progress in the administrative system. Now, as I told you that putting some example always makes the concept crystal clear. Now we will try to learn all the or we'll try to put all these values in some case studies. The first case study is whistleblowing dilemma. Here scenario is an officer uncovers significant corruption within a high profile government project. There is a high profile project is going in a government administration. So a civil servant tries to uncover significant corruption. In that case, there is a ethical dilemma in his mind that what should he do, either to report or to remain silent. If he report, then he is an honest guy and also a man of integrity because he is hearing the inner conscience that this there is something going wrong in the system. So here is honest and integrity. He is a man of honesty and integrity also. If he remains silent, that means he is not an honest person or not a man of integrity. Now the case study second is of conflict of interest. This conflict of interest is, here the scenario is, a civil servant's close relative applies for a contract within the same department where the officer works. In an office where he is working, there is a project going on, there is a contract has to be distributed to the contractors, and one of his close relatives applies for it. Now there is an ethical dilemma in his mind that what should he do? Either he can reject the contract, or he can give the contract. If he rejects by saying that my inner conscience says if he will be given the contract, he might do something wrong in the future by thinking that my so and so friend is there to help me. And if he rejects, if the person he rejects the and if he accepts the contract and he gives the contract to his relatives, then he will be not called as he will be honest by saying that all those guidelines have been followed by him, but he will not be the man of integrity because there because he did not hear his inner conscience. Now the third case is resource allocation in crisis. Assume that there is a disaster has occurred in an area. Now, being a civil servant, one has to distribute some resources to the person who is needed there. What should he do? Now he is an ethical dilemma where he should deliver the resources. Influence. There is two conditions. There is the resources has to be distributed to the powerful individuals or to person who is needed the most uh, to the most needed person where the natural hazards has occurred. Now here if he follows his inner conscience by saying that I will always work for those who will needed there, then he will be the man of honesty or integrity also. But if he prioritizes influence, the people who he knows or powerful person, then he will only be man of honesty because not a man of integrity because he is following the only the guidelines of the system that the resources should be distributed to the needed person. But if he hears the voice of inner conscience, he will give the resources to the person who needs the most at the risk population. I hope these three cases might have cleared the concepts. I hope with these case studies you have understood these values in a very simple way. Now, if you have to give the crux of all these values which we have studied, let's put it these three values in a podium, victory podium. If it is at first, it is at second, it is at third stand. At third, there will be value of honesty. At second, the value of probity will be here. At first, the integrity will be here. Here the integrity is at first point because I told you that in probity you should only be honest in your professional life regardless of his personal life, but in integrity you should be ethically correct, you should be honest in your personal life and your personal life professional life also. And although honesty is at third level, but the value of honesty is not an easy value to achieve by any person. So I think these examples have enough for to understand all these three concepts. I hope you have understood these concepts very well. If you have reached at this point of video, I hope you have liked the video, subscribe the channel, and let me know And if you have anything to ask, or if you want any more video to with another concepts, you can comment me in the box, in which in the next video I will come with another concepts. Till then, have a good day. Thank you very much for listening.